What's going on, guys? I'm Nathaniel. I'm Michael, and today we're here with Jordan. Jordan, introduce yourself. Let them know who you are and what you do.
Hey guys, my name is Jordan Subban from Toronto, Ontario. Grew up playing hockey and most recently founder of Ujima.com. It's an online marketplace for BIPOC businesses across Canada.
Awesome, Jordan. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more on Ujima, how it started, and what your reason for starting was.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a professional hockey player. I grew up playing hockey and 26 now, and it was my second year pro. I was playing in upstate New York, living with a roommate, and being a professional athlete. Like, we had a lot of time on our hands. You know, we'd go to the rink for practice around 9 a.m., get back around noon. And at the time, I was living with my roommate, and we'd come home and we'd play Xbox, pretty much through the night. And until one night, we ended up getting robbed at gunpoint. And I didn't have my Xbox anymore, and I moved out on my own, and I decided to take some online courses for computer programming and app development. Following year, I was traded to LA, so I had a chance to go down to the Valley and meet my mentor. His name's Ryan Neese. He's founder of Next Play Capital, a venture capitalist firm down in the Valley, and went to him with a bad app idea. He challenged me to do something much more meaningful. And, I took that challenge, and, recently, my most recent season, I was playing in Austria. And when I came back, I was fortunate enough to have a meeting with a guy named Raj Ruparel, who's the founder of a Canadian company called ND Mattresses, but he was, he previously also was co-founder and CEO of Groupon International. And again, I went to him with a bad app idea, and he, naturally guided me towards the idea of, in starting an e-commerce business. And that was around the time of the unfortunate George Floyd murder. And I was just personally intrigued to see what some of the largest e-commerce platforms were doing to empower Black-owned businesses, specifically at that time, such as your own. And I just thought that there were, better ways to bring forth that significant change that our community has waited far too long for. And, for instance, there was one that donated, somewhere around $10 million to an organization similar to Black Lives Matter. And I looked at that and said, if we're going to compare $10 million to 400 plus years of oppression of the Black community, it's not really going to do much to move the needle. So I decided to start a platform that was, truly going to amplify, Black-owned businesses, Indigenous-owned businesses, BIPOC-owned businesses as a whole, and women-owned businesses. That's what we've done with Ujima.
It's great how much you've done, how many people you brought together to collaborate. What's your plan on Ujima moving forward?
Yeah, the plan is just to continue to grow and continue to, one of the things that we do is try and help to provide opportunity and resources to our vendors. And, we started off with, and we still do, is label every product with an icon, identifying whether it's Black-owned, women-owned, Indigenous-owned, or BIPOC-owned. And we also, early on, we shot a commercial with some of our vendors on Ujima. And, we gave them the raw footage. We've helped our vendors, get media attention and coverage as well. So we're just looking for new ways to amplify our vendors. We have a partnership here that with a pretty large corporation that we're going to be announcing soon. That's really exciting. And a few of our vendors are a part of that as well. So I'll just continuing to grow and amplifying the voices of our sellers and empowering our sellers as a whole.
Awesome. That sounds good. Can't wait to see how far it goes. I know you mentioned you're a pro athlete. Like, how do you find the time between hockey and Ujima? Like, how do you juggle your time between both?
Yeah, right now it's been 100% Ujima. I've been 100% committed to it. So this is what I've been doing. But like I said, it's, being when I was playing hockey 100% of the time, I had a lot of time on my hands. And, after we got robbed and lost my Xbox, it taught me an important lesson and, valuing time and, the importance of using that time in a productive way. So I've learned to be able to, figure out what's important, what's not, how I should be spending my time, and maximizing that in a way that benefits me and now Ujima, and as well as all the vendors. We have over 60 vendors now, so it's my responsibility to be using my time to not just benefit the company, but obviously what we set out to do and benefit our vendors and amplifying and empowering them.
For sure. For being in the sports world and now the business world, have you seen any similarities to the way things are run?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the difference is that I'm running it now with the business, but there's tons of similarities. Specifically from being a professional athlete to now an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, like you guys know, obviously you're both tremendous young entrepreneurs. Is you have to almost become comfortable with the uncomfortable and the unpredictableness of being an entrepreneur, right? And when I was an athlete, it was the same. You had to be at your best. You always had to be have a mindset of what's next, and to continue to grow and get better every single day, or else you'd be replaced essentially. So I know the work that we're doing with Ujima is super, super important, and that's why I work so hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
For sure. And during your professional hockey career, I know hockey, of course, is it's predominantly white, and I'm sure you traveled all around the states and stuff. How did you deal with any racism you might have faced? How was it? Did you face any at all?
When I was playing in the States, in Canada, no. But the last season that I played over in Austria was the first time that I actually faced any racism. Playing in Europe, the crowd was starting to make monkey noises at me, which I didn't even hear. I didn't realize that was happening until after the game when we came off and all my teammates were going at the fans, and I was like, "What happened? We lost. Let's go." And then they obviously told me, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty messed up." So, dealing with that is, for me, it was obviously reaching out to the league and having the league reach out to me and talking with them, and those fans are obviously not a part of the game anymore. But continuing and staying focused on what I can do. I think, with athletes, at least in my experience, when you face that sort of backlash, they're trying to really break you down. But me mentally is stronger than that, and just staying focused on what we had to do, go get the win, and just continuing to grow myself personally and as a player.
I like the way you really handled the situation. It could have gone a lot of different ways, but you handled it professionally. I wanted to ask about your Satori moment. I think you touched on it before with the Xbox situation, but what a Satori moment is a moment within you that happens. It's a moment that happens and reveals something within you. Would you say you had a Satori moment recently, or you could touch on the Xbox example as well?
Yeah, the Xbox example, maybe I could use that one. I would say it's when I decided to start the company. That was my Satori moment, and realizing, look, with COVID, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to play the next season, if there was going to be a season. I knew that I had the resources to be able to start a business, the knowledge to be able to start a business, to amplify the community, and that was my moment, and just realizing, look, I'm gonna do this, because if not, with the pandemic looming, it's going to force a lot of these small businesses, which are predominantly BIPOC businesses, Black-owned businesses, to shift from traditional brick and mortar shops to online stores, and with that, it's now you're not just competing against your neighbors down the block, but you're competing against everybody online. It's a large marketplace that's dominated obviously by the Goliaths in Amazon, Etsy, Shopify, whoever you want to name, and when you're competing against someone that big, it's really David and Goliath, and there's not really much competition to be done there. And I think we've seen that obviously, over the course of the last year with the amount of growth in those businesses, in terms of market share, and then obviously the amount of small businesses that have died and failed. So I just wanted to, I guess, in that moment, be able to help provide some opportunities and resources to sort of slow down that growth as much as I could.
For sure, for sure. And to round it off, 2 questions we ask all our guests. First question being, if you had to name a spice that
describes you,
yeah,
what would you?
what would it be?
A spice?
Yeah.
On the spice. I don't even know, man. Like, it's like a jerk chicken spice, something like that. You know, that's nice, but it'll hit you if you don't know what you're dealing with.
So you'll hit people if they're not careful.
I mean, of course, right? That's part of the
Yeah.
part of the nature, you know. Like, obviously, I truly feel like what we're doing is part of, you know, something very, very important, something much bigger than myself and, you know, any individual person. And, you know, at the end of the day, it has to be protected in what we're doing, and we have to fight for what we know to be true.
And the last question we have is, give us 3 music artists you listen to that you feel everyone should listen to, and why.
Number 1, Drake. I feel like I listen to Drake. I'm a person I like to listen, and I feel like everyone else should listen to Drake because they should listen to actually what he says. I feel like that with every artist, to be honest. But I think a lot of people listen to Drake and don't actually take in what he says. He has a lot of meaning behind the things that he says, and a lot of it could be relatable. And that helps me out a lot. I love A Boogie. That's just my guy. I think everyone should listen to him because, you know, it's just a vibe. And number 3, I would say Tupac. Oh, for sure, Tupac. And not even just his music, his interviews. He's so insightful, and again, just relatable. You know, to me as a young Black man growing up, listening to Tupac was, you know, some of the most insightful things that I've ever heard and learned. He was extremely intelligent, and you know, aside from his music being, you know, super catchy and amazing, his lyrics are, you know, almost 10 times more important for me, at least.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Jordan, thank you for those answers. They're amazing. Yeah, we just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come sit down with us. We appreciate it.
We'll leave all your socials below, including Ujima. And yeah, thank you once again, Jordan.
Of course, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.